have.
Well, one of the things that we're going to want to do is get some fresh bodies out there with the veterans. And if we can get some young guys ready to take more snaps in games like that, then, you know, the veterans get to play a little bit, you know, fresher and, you know, more ready, you know, to play. And so, you know, we're looking for those guys that can come in and give 5 snap, you know, breaks, if you will. And if we can get that done, that'll make the whole defense, you know, a little bit fresher.
We were on defense, and the offense was on the field. I mean, it was just those guys were going tempo. I mean, somebody may make a play and may want to celebrate, or a play gets made, and then you're probably jawing off. You're not looking to the sideline where those guys are going fast and they're lining up. You're not getting a call, and then now you're in trouble.
It's always a concern when a team can have the success that they did throwing the football. And there's you know, there's a couple ways to approach it. You know, certainly add guys and add numbers to the rush, or continue to prepare the guys that would be your best 4 pass rushers to, you know, do the things that they're capable of doing and get them better at it technically. So I think those are the things that we're really kind of focused on, both of those pieces, to get us a little bit more rush.
We haven't played our best football yet. I mean, and we know that. I mean, I think the coaches know that. I mean, so I think the preparation and practice for this week, I think it should show in the game on Saturday.
We played a very quality opponent. I don't think there's any reason for wholesale change yet. I think there's the opportunity now to maybe address some things that we need addressing and turn our attention more fully to them this week. So I think there's I think we're confident in the things that we do, yet, you know, there's some things we need to get accomplished and be better at. So I don't think I think that'll put us in the right framework.
Hey, we had a special treat for y'all earlier when you got to hear Debbie Traylor sing. She's in the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. Now you got a special treat with Chris Landry doing what he does best, breaking it down, analyzing that last Georgia touchdown, which ultimately became the game-winning score. Chris Landry, you got the floor.
Well, I thought you were going to make me sing. I was grateful for that.
No, we're not going to ask you.
Well, some things on the defense that I made note of in watching film. And I'll go back to last week. We talked a little bit about my concern of LSU's linebackers being able to defend the perimeter run game. You saw it against Auburn. You saw it even in some lesser competition. It was a big-time problem, particularly the C-gap runs outside the tackle gave LSU a lot of problems. The screen and the wide running game overall just gave LSU problems all day long. They didn't defend the middle of the field very well against the tight end. They didn't go to it a whole lot, but that was there all day. Listen, Georgia's offensive line blocked LSU's defensive front consistently. Got the running game going early and often. That was the key, and it was a big key for them. Against good running teams, you see John Chavis normally play a lot of bare front. We call it 46 principle. Both the center and both guards are covered. They played a lot of that, didn't have a whole lot of success with it, quite frankly. I talked a little bit prior to the TCU game a couple of weeks. The one thing we'd have to find out about this LSU defense up front, we can talk about coverage breakdowns. I'm going to do that in a second. But up front, they're not as elite at defensive tackle in the rotation. They've got 2 elite defensive tackles, not 4 like in the past. The defensive ends are good, but they don't have 4 good ones that they can put you in waves. So the pass rush pressure is not as good. The toughest thing to do physically in football is rush the passer for 12 seconds, line up and do it again. And when you're getting pushed back off the line of scrimmage when they're running the ball at you, it's even tougher to do so. And that was a factor in this game against this level of opponent. The defensive game plan was to cover Aaron Murray, not to bring a lot of extra pressure. Everybody says you should blitz more. Well, blitzing is not the answer if you're not a good blitzing team and you can't get there. If you're having coverage problems and you make yourself more vulnerable in the back end, that's really not a good situation. Listen, John Chavis is really good. His defense at Tennessee and at LSU is predicated on good athletes, undersized, run to the football, aggressive. And what you're seeing is a very talented defense, but not nearly as talented as we've seen in the past few years. Not as deep in the rotation, not as many playmakers on the back end. So what you're seeing is not what you'd call a scheme-diverse defense. They do what they do, they make plays, or they don't. And I think what we're seeing is some of, against the upper-level competition, they're not as consistent doing it. So it's something we're going to have to see going forward, how much better we're going to get. They're going to get. You know, a lot's been talked about coverage breakdowns. Well, one of the things I wanted to do is talk about the last play. It's not the most important play of the game, some degree. For some people, it might be. It's the game that put Georgia ahead and ultimately won it. But if I could sit there and break down the number of coverages, it would take 8 hours. But I wanted to break this one down because it was the one that people are talking about the most. And it was indicative of some of the coverage problems, but a little bit different than maybe it was explained on TV. And so one of the things I want to do here is kind of talk a little bit about what the concept of the play is really important. It's a very good schematic defense, schematic offense by Georgia. If you look at it, they've got a number of receivers from the outside in. The number 1 and number 2 inside. They essentially took 3 of the LSU corner, safety, and linebacker to this side out of the play, circled here. That's really key. You got the number 1 running an inside route and an inside guy running a corner route. That's really important because in the play design, it takes half the defense and coverage out. Now, the rest of the play is designed this way. I've drew it up for you. The back's coming out of the flat. The Mike Backer's got that responsibility. And if you see that, he hung in there and did his job pretty nicely. The biggest key to this play that people I think have kind of missed on this is allowing the tight end the free release on the post. That is what caused, if you watch the television, they say, well, look, he froze the safety, Craig Lawson. Craig Lawson was frozen because the tight end was on a free release. No one's covering the tight end, and Jalen Mills stopped his coverage, so you had an open guy here and an open guy here. Folks, this guy can't be in 2 places at once. So he was frozen. If you watch him on the play, and we'll look at it again after I'm done, he does turn his shoulder because he sees the guy coming across his face, and he reacts, but at the same time he sees the pass going behind him, and he knows there is no way he can be right here. There's no way, because I'm telling you, the play was designed to go here. But the reason why it went here was because of the coverage breakdown. But how do you play this? Why did this happen? Well, there's a few ways you can play it. But the fundamental part of what you want to try to do here is you've got to not allow the free release of the tight end inside. You can't let him cross your face. You've got to line up. You've got to force him wide. If you're going to play help defense, you've got to force him wide, okay? The linebacker has to trail him so that he doesn't get a free release, and then this forces the ball into this area. Jalen Mills, if we're going to play, a couple of options here. It appears that he thought he had help. Well, if he thought he had help, there's no way in his play. What he did is he ran with the guy and then jumped to buzz the flat here. Well, the Mike Backer has got the back coming out of the backfield. There's no reason if he thought he had help that he would respond here. If he thought he had help, then the way you've got to play that, you've got to force the guy inside so that the throw is going to come in this area, and then the safety's got a chance to either play the tight end route down the seam or the receiver route that's off the corner. So basically what I'm saying is the technique was good. It was started good on the outside, but you can't let this receiver cross your face. You've got to force him inside so the ball can't go to the corner. You certainly can't release him without help, and if the help is going to come this way, well, who's got the tight end? So the point I'm trying to make is, I know, and they do a great job on TV, and it's very difficult to be able to design it and show you that this is what happened, this is why. It's not the case of the safety did wrong. It was the tight end was allowed a free release there. The safety has no option because he's got 2 places to cover, and he's got to get the help. You've got to reroute him off the line of scrimmage. You've got to trail him down on the post route, and then you've got to allow the safety a chance to either help one of the two or play the true free safety mode where he can read. And so there's a couple of ways that you can play it. The bottom line is it wasn't what they played, but how they played it, and that was the biggest issue. So you don't want to sit there. There's a lot of mistakes. This is not the only mistake, but it was indicative of certainly the Sam backer did not have the tight end, and they didn't adjust to the tight end well. Certainly the corner did not do a good job of understanding what his responsibility was, and the safety was the one kind of left out to dry, kind of, as we say, caught with your pants down, and he's the one that got all the criticism. Murray freezed him. Well, Murray freezed him. What really freezed him was the tight end coming free and not being able to adjust to it. So something to keep in mind when you see things and you think, well, and they say it on TV, well, this is the problem here. We'll see it. It was diagrammed on TV. Watch the guy, watch the tight end go. Look, no one's there. You see, no one. If you can run that back, Chris, in the truck, watch the tight end coming off the line of scrimmage. Watch where he goes. No one has got him. Watch the tight end. He is down on the post. No one's it. That's where the ball goes, right there. Great. Aaron Murray essentially could have had a football in his right hand, threw it to the corner out, and with his left hand threw one to the tight end. Now, the one that you've got to be able to cover is you can't let that tight end with no help there get free. If you reroute him off the line of scrimmage, then you can force the ball to go down the seam where you can, with a couple of defenders, a corner and a safety, have an opportunity to defend both the seam route and the corner route. But you can't let a guy cross your face, get behind, have no coverage behind it, and then also have a tight end going down the seam. It's just a fundamental break. Whose fault it is? Hey, it's not a question of saying, your fault, you screwed up. There's a number of guys. Sam Baker screwed up, corner screwed up, you know, and certainly how it was called or how it was communicated or not understood. At the end of the day, as a coach, you take responsibility for it, and they do. But it's really important to understand this is not the only play that it happened with. It's not necessarily the most important one, but it's the one that's been talked about probably more than any, I'm assuming. You do radio every day, and that's an important part to understand. There are a lot of factors that go into that contributed to that play not being successful, and it contributed to other breakdowns. It's not just one guy made a mistake. It's a collaborative effort. You got to know what the other guy's got to do, and you've got to work off of it. And if there's miscommunication or a missed technique, you got a big play that happens, and you can't as a corner, for example, jump the little flare route that the Mike backers got on the running back and leave the corner route open. You got to rally to the underneath route. You got to cover the deep route because the reads are deep to short.
Where else are you going to get that, folks? That's as good as it gets right here on Tigers Roar with Chris Landry. We'll come back, take our run around the state. We're going to talk some stuff in Louisiana right after this pause. Stay with us.